Good evening, friends and neighbors and friends. How's everybody feeling on a Sunday night, baby? Pretty good, I hope. In the written blog, I talked about a Jewish holiday that occurred today, actually started last night and continued until tonight, called Purim. And since it happens to fall around the same time as St. Patrick's Day, yeah, it sometimes does involve a little bit of alcohol. Purim. But the theme here that I'm talking about in the blog is pouring something out. Specifically, the reputation of people who are doing the wrong thing out there. Purim is based on the scroll of Esther in the Bible, which talks about a high-ranking Persian nobleman named Haman who wanted to massacre all the Jews in the Persian Empire. And when it turned out that the queen of the Jewish Empire was herself Jewish, the tables got turned on him real bad. Yes, this is the basic formula that most Jewish holidays follow. They tried to kill us. They failed at it real bad. We won. Let's see it already. But the reason why I feel that the story of Esther and Haman is kind of relevant now for my beta tribe is because we all know that there's a Haman out there. There's always somebody who's looking to become powerful by seeking to plunder and destroy. Someone who's gaining a lot of strength and power by stepping all over people along the way, possibly including you. And someone who seeks favor with those who could grant him even more power by pointing fingers at other people to make them look worse and make them look better. And even worse, there's someone who seeks to silence all dissent through force or intimidation. In ancient biblical texts, the guys who act like that get their comeuppance right quick. In real life, they tend to get away with a lot of stuff. And sometimes, there are people who give these jabronis even more accolades than Haman received back then. And depending on their circumstances, sometimes the real-life Hamans not only get away with stuff, sometimes they get rewarded for what they do. Nasty, right? Well, the first step that we beta males have to take is to acknowledge that the Hamans, also who we call alpholes, are not going to be set up by the Almighty for an instant downfall. At least not like we want them to. In real life, they get a lot of followers, a lot of sycophants, a lot of yes men, a lot of hangers-on, and we kind of don't. This not only increases their strength, it also provides them with an extra layer of protection. If anyone has the guts to call them out the way Queen Esther did to Haman, there's always going to be a loyal throng that blindly follows what their fearless leader has to say no matter what they've done that's wrong. In a way, this makes them even more powerful than the real Haman. And he was like top in that Persian Empire. There's not a lot we can learn from the other characters in that story about how to take down real-life Hamans, because unlike Queen Esther, the rest of us do not get an audience with a king who changes his mind like that. Instead, the key to stopping all those Hamans is to look at how the story is told. Now, normally, Jewish kids are taught to behave properly in synagogue, just like in any other house of worship. But when the scroll of Esther is read on the evening of Purim, they're taught to get loud at certain points. Specifically, whenever the name of Haman is read in that scroll, they got to get loud, make as much noise as possible to drown his name out. Yeah, it does sound a little corny and a little foreign, I admit, but the concept works. Part of the reason why these real-life Hamans, these alpholes, get so powerful is that the above-referenced throng is always talking about them. They always talk about them way too much. And as a result, these Hamans get too famous, too popular, and too many people know their name. I've often discussed how bullies and alpholes become who they are because they have enablers. Well, you know what? We can counter that phenomenon by being disablers. Don't discuss them. Don't bring up their names. And don't waste your time with stories of what these jabronis do or don't do either. Okay? Don't advertise them. Delete them. Don't make them famous. Make them anonymous. Don't be affected by them. Be apathetic to them. Don't gossip about them. Talk about people who are way cooler than them. And don't listen to people talking about them either. Go off on a tangent and change the subject. All my friends in the We Don't Care crowd know who to do that like perfectly. Don't care about them. They need you to, and they'll die out if you don't. There's no law saying you have to bow down to these jabronis. You can refuse to, and nobody will seek to hang you for it. You can tune them out. You can seek better company. You can render them irrelevant. Yes, you can drown them out with noise like the kids in synagogue, but it's even harsher to them to drown them out with silence. And remember, my beta tribe, we are able to be alone for long periods of time because we're beta males. The Hamans of the world, forget it. Solitude will suffocate them worse than hanging from a tree. Yeah, I am kind of overdue for a little biblical inspiration, but that seemed like the right time for it. So those who celebrate, hope you had a happy Purim. And everybody else who celebrates St. Patty's Day tomorrow, hope you have a good time going to whatever parade is being put on. The one down 5th Avenue in the city is going to be tomorrow. If you take off work, don't go easy on those Guinnesses. You know what I'm saying? Good night, everybody!